Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated, he's here. He's here. And the story goes, I wanted to have, like a special red carpet type of thing, and we might have it, but it was time for you to come and get yourself well certified. Is that Ken Godat? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
That is correct.
All right. Ken Godat, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I stab an applaud.
Hello, Kevin.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of yours from afar, and now with this podcast, it was empty without you, so, we got it early.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Kevin. Terry Mickler, my longtime mentor, talks about your program here, and I have listened to it a little bit, so excited to be on. I love anything I can do to connect with Terry, and I know you guys are tight, so I'm very happy to be a part of your podcast. I usually do the Dad Pod, is mainly my soccer podcast, but when I got invited to do this, I listened to your podcast. I listened to the specifically the Thanksgiving episode when Terry talked about the landscape and so forth, and you were talking about old school. You had just gone to an old school reunion in soccer of some sort, and you're naming all my buddies. So Lou English and Sorber.
Oh, wow.
All those guys are. I'm North County too, so I know. I think you might be as well, but. A lot of the guys you were talking about were North County, so
yeah, man.
I grew up in Bridgeton there, so just on the west side of North County.
Rich kid.
Yeah, exactly. My true North County friends don't claim me. Bridgeton was West County, but hey, I trained at. I grew up with the Plumber Soccer Club.
Wow.
Sponsored by the union there with. Vince Drake was my coach there, so I think that's as North County as you can get.
Yes.
There with Vince, and we trained at then I moved over to Scott-Gallagher in my later teen years, and with Tommy Howe and everything like that. So I'm a North County guy at heart. I trained at Coke Park and Hottershell Park and all those. So. Even though I lived a little further west, I'm North County.
Yeah, man. How about Sunset Park? Did you get a little scratchy with the grass there?
Yeah, I know of Sunset Park.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever trained there. Mainly Hottershell and Coke were our main one. Coke Park was a big one.
Nice.
We trained there almost every time.
I was like the start of the Gallagher. It was with Rick Bin with. Yeah, and we went out to the what's it called that Sunset Park, and it was just crazy. And I am not many people know, but I'm the goat of the of practicing at Calvary Cemetery.
Oh boy, okay, yeah. I know that one is. I know Calvary as well. Yeah, Rick Ben, good friend of mine. Love Rick. Love the whole family. His son Matt and I.
Wow.
All together, and Rick talks about the old early Gallagher days.
Yeah.
Ruiz, I think was the original name.
Exactly. Yeah.
With Rick.
We were with Florissant United. It was soccer, and then we went to Collinsville Volkswagen. And then they left there, and then baba boom, baba bang, there it is.
Yeah.
The Ruiz, the Ruiz was the younger club, the junior club. Yeah. But man, what some Mexican food that was, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good times. Old North County. Most everybody moved out to St. Charles now, but
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's where I cut my teeth.
Yeah, right.
Training with Vince Drake with the Plumber Soccer Club.
Nice.
Vince was amazing.
Yes.
Still good friends with him. his grandson Ian came through the club.
Yeah.
Latest, and Jeff came through the club, Scott-Gallagher too, as a dad with Ian, and we had good times all through from when Ian was U8 all the way to U19, and Vince would come and Jeff, and we talk Old Plumber Soccer Club.
Yeah, buddy.
So now we got Ian as a trainer, so now he's coming back, working for me, doing some ball mastery sessions and stuff like that.
Nice. Yes, yeah, man. And you're old when you're getting the great grandsons and daughters.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had my oldest boy, Zach. He's got Liam, who's 3, Harry, who's 1, and they just had twin girls. So, boom, all of a sudden my son Zach's got 4 grandkids for me. So we got
beautiful.
Olivia and Poppy, identical twin girls, just were born last week. That was an exciting thing in my life.
Well, then let's do it.
Yeah,
they are well certified. They are well certified. You can tell them that they are well certified.
I will.
All right.
My new line farm.
Yes, right, yeah. So here you are, man. You're into a new realm that, for me, it was a jaw dropper. And, we have the curtain in front of it, and we're going to open it up and, and take a tour with the stagehand, the retired stagehand, that
TPH, I think is what you're referring to there, which an academic school with soccer. So it all really started about 5 or 6 years ago. TPH stands for Total Package Hockey. And they partnered with the Junior Blues. Phil McRae is leading the charge on TPH here in St. Louis. And Phil is the son of Basil McRae. You probably remember that name back in the Brett Hall era. But so they started the hockey school. They're over there at Centene Center, which is right over by the casino in Maryland Heights. On the right there is the Blues facility there. So they're running the hockey school. It's an academic school, and they have, it's with a hockey focus. They've been doing that for 5 years, and they've grown it. They started with 30 or so hockey players, and they grew it, and now it's up to around 80 or 90 hockey players. So they've grown their school nicely there. Awesome, unbelievable numbers. And then, so TPH approached St. Louis Scott-Gallagher, my club, that I'm, that's my full-time job there as boys director. So they approached us on a partnership to host it from a facility standpoint and get it off the ground. And so I'm the head of soccer there at TPH St. Louis, which is, that's we're starting the first ever soccer academic school here in St. Louis. There is a few of them around under the TPH umbrella nationally, but here locally, this will be the first adventure in a soccer academic school. So I think that's what you're referring to there is opening up the curtains. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, wow, man. You've been the fly on the wall and at the tables and everything. Has this been talked about before the 5 years? Like someday we're going to have a school here.
Yeah, we had a guy named Tim Lees come into our club about 10 years ago, and Tim was directly from Liverpool, and we hired him to be our academy director. He was the U14 Liverpool academy coach previously, right before we hired him. And when he came over, it was coming out of his mouth, and we actually started a thing called Day Release, which is similar, where the kids would just go to school, but they would, get a release day once a week. They would get permission from the school to come to the soccer park and train in the mornings. And so the day release program we did for a few years under Tim's umbrella, and that was similar, but they went to their regular school. So this concept, it blew my mind too, and I started looking into see what they had going on the hockey side. And I did go to Europe and toured Europe several times, studying academies over there over the last 15 years or so. And I remember being at Ajax and being at PSV, and the bus would pull up. We were touring the facility, and it was in the middle of the day, and then all of a sudden the bus would come up, and the kids would get off the bus, and here we go. Let's start training in the middle of the day. So we were eyeing it and looking at it, looking at what they were doing over there. And then when Tim Lees introduced it, it was great. But I never thought we would be turning the soccer park into an academic school, that's for sure. But here we are. So we're starting in August. This coming August 26th will be our first inaugural class. And right now we're just getting the students signed up. It's been an exciting adventure, having open houses. What we do is we have an open house where the parents and the kids would come into the soccer park, into the ballroom, look around the facility. They hear our academic advisors from TPH talk. They hear Phil talk. Christy Stichling is our director, and she's doing a lot of the recruiting. She talks, and then I talk soccer. So that's how we've been recruiting it. We've had several of those open houses now. We also do shadow days where the kids would go to the hockey school, and they shadow a hockey student through their academic day. And then when it comes time for the hockey player to go to the ice, there's a little piece of turf at Centene. So they've been going to me. Been running through some training, stuff similar to what they're going to be doing. We also have a performance guy, Johnny Johnson. He's running them through performance training, speed and agility and stuff like that. And then they go and they shadow the hockey player the rest of the day. So that's how we've been selling it and getting it off the ground. We currently have 26 players signed up for the inaugural class. I'd say we have another 50 or so interested. So our original goal was 20 players. 20 to 30 players. 20 was the minimum. 30 is where we wanted to be comfortable. And we're real close. So we're at 26. We want to get another 5 to 10 or so out of this last 50 that are interested. And I feel like we're going to have a nice inaugural class of 30 or so, and we'll kick it off in August. So very exciting, and that's what we've been doing to get it started. I think once we get it started, then it's going to be an easier sell, because then the shadow day can be right there, and they can shadow the real thing. So it's tough to sell something that isn't in existence. But hey, we're starting off with our goal, and we're happy about it. The level, I want to talk about that a little bit. I was a little concerned going in on the level. Are kids just going to sign up? Or are we going to filter them? What kind of level are we going to have? And how are we going to manage that? But the great news is here's the level on the sign-ups have been very high. The kids coming through the shadow day have been high level. So no longer a concern of mine on the level. So we're gonna have high end elite players training during school. So exciting adventure. Let's go. TPH St. Louis Soccer Academy. That's what we're calling it.
Wow. Well, check with Lou English. He's been selling dreams all his life.
Yeah, Lou and I are good friends. He pops in the soccer park here and there, so
yeah.
I did tell him all about it, and he's always very forward thinking.
Yeah,
he's a European at heart here, so
yes, he is.
He's been studying what I was talking about, and he's a great person to talk to about it.
Well, the first question is, it comes to me, is I'm like, what? And what about the flood? flooding. Is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, the flood at the soccer park, it rears its head every so often. It's quick though. When the flood happens, it comes and goes. So it's always a barrier, an obstacle, but it doesn't last long. Luckily, at the soccer park, creates a mess. We have to clean up the mess, and a lot of times we have to redo the fields. But luckily, and knock on wood, it doesn't last long. So if a flood were to happen, it would be a quick temporary thing where we would have to, we have a couple partner facilities real close by that we could jump to for a day or two till we clean it up. But at Scott-Gallagher, we're so used to it. It's really just kind of, it's a bummer when it happens, and because we know it's a lot of cleanup, and it's usually a financial hit to clean it up and so forth. But we usually get through it really quick. So
right.
Not that concerned. Not that concerned. We'll get through it, no problem, like we always do with the club.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Well, it goes to where I'm working without a net right now. I want you to know.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you several questions that I thought about over a course of about 10, 15 minutes. And okay, and what are the goals for your first year, Kent? Yeah, what are they?
Yeah, I mean, number one, these is academics. These kids. We got to make sure that it's just not soccer. That's the most important thing, is that they get a great quality education. So TPH, it's a national. Actually, there's a few around the globe. So it's actually a global company. They partner with Edmentum, which is an online academic platform, and the goal would be to make sure that the students are maintaining a proper academic standards there. So they have to they don't get soccer unless they're at the minimum standard. And Phil McCrae, who I was talking about earlier, is in charge of the whole thing. So he's very strict on that. You're not playing soccer, you're not training soccer unless your academic standards are met. So they have protocols and standards to meet every day to make sure that students are doing their work. Minimum players, we wanted 20 or 30 to start off with, but long term, we like to mirror the hockey and get it up to where it's
right.
in that 80 or so range. And then soccer wise, we just want to maximize the development of all the players we're going to have. It really, the individual goals of the players are going to be documented. That we have a mentor, academic advisor, mentor, a liaison that works with the players on their goals and their pathway and what they need to be working on individually. So all the goals of the players will be different. Some of the players are going to want to play. D1 might be a goal of a player. Might want to play D1. Some players might want to play pro. With Josh Sargent and Tim Ream, knocking down that pathway to Europe. I'm sure we're going to have some players who want to go play in Europe. And then some players, at the lower spectrum, just want to become a great high school player, and all the goals of the individual players are going to be documented, and we want to hit those goals and really maximize the player development on every single player. So those are the goals. We don't have a team. It's not a team. So a lot of people get confused there. It's like, okay, what are you going to play in? Okay, we're not going to play. We're just training. So all the players will play on separate teams, different clubs in the evenings. So really this is supplemental training to what they're already doing. So there is no goal from a team perspective. We're not going to play in any competition. We're not going to join the Champions League or anything like that at the high school level. So those players, they could play for their high school, you can play for your high school and go to TPH, or if you're an academy level, you could play, MLS Next Academy and go to TPH. So anyways, that wouldn't be a goal. It'd be like to try and win a national title or anything like that.
Yeah.
These kids are all going to be from different places, and the diversity of what clubs are coming from is what's been amazing to me. We're not just St. Louis Scott-Gallagher players. This is open to every club in the area. So I'd say half of the kids that have signed up have been St. Louis Scott-Gallagher, but the other half have been from outside of their clubs, which is great to see. And I think it's awesome that we're going to provide something for the whole St. Louis soccer community, not just Scott-Gallagher. Even though Scott-Gallagher's hosting it, I work full time for Scott-Gallagher. So there is that affiliation there, but I will have my club neutral hat on when I'm training these kids, and I won't be recruiting them. So just don't really believe in the recruiting world. I like to think that we just build what we have at St. Louis Scott-Gallagher, and kids come, as opposed to go hounding players and wrecking their teams and breaking teams apart to recruit players and stuff like that. It's not really my thing. I preach that what I just said philosophy there too to all my friends that are with the other clubs. So I don't think I'm viewed as a heavy recruiter, and I think that's why we're getting the diversity of other clubs coming in. So, anyways, those are our goals, and looking forward to it.
That's well done. And when you say that you're not, you can take it to the bank, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you're not a guy that steals players, contracts, call the parents and everything. I mean,
no, don't believe in that philosophy. I believe you build it and they will come, and if they don't come, then they're somewhere good, and that's fine too. So
right on. So do you already know how folks are going to be dealing with the different age groups?
Yeah, we'll have, depends on the numbers coming in, but if it looks like we're going to have 30, then we'll have 2 training groups. So what we'll do is half of the group will go do performance training, your speed and agility, your athletic stuff, some weights, with Johnny Johnson, who's going to be our performance director, and then the other half will be with me. And then we'll flip it, and then they switch after an hour and a half of training. So we'll have 2 groups. As we get bigger, the hockey, off the top of my head, I think they might have 3 or 4 groups. So they have multiple sessions going, and it's more complex than what we'll have at the beginning. But right away, we'll have a younger group and an older group, and then we'll flip it. After an hour and a half of performance training, and we'll flip it, and that's the way we'll handle that. I have Zach Mattioli as an assistant, Ben Perkins, and Mitch Hunt. Those are my 3 assistants right now. Paulo, who's the goalkeeper for the ambush.
Yeah.
He's the goalkeeper trainer.
Nice.
He's also a really good field trainer too, so he'll be an assistant on the field and goalie. So I'll have several assistants that'll help me. And then, of course, John Johnson, I mentioned him as our athletic performance guy. We'll have his piece. So we'll have plenty of eyes and trainers to handle different levels and ages. And even if we have multiple ages within the 2 groups, we can still have 2 grids. We'll be going on the same time, same field, but we'll have one grid could be the older end of the half we have, and the other grid would be the younger end. Not too different than currently at the club. We do call it soccer school, which is really just a weekly technical training program. And so we're used to having multiple grids going at the same time, where one grid might be a little older, a little more advanced, and they're doing a little more higher end of the same drill. But you're really coaching the same session for both grids, but just one's a little more advanced. So we'll probably manage it like that until we get enough for 3 groups, and then we'll go from there.
That's a state of the art, baby. and you know it. It's all about the first touch. If you don't have a first touch, you may not get that third or fourth one.
That's right. Yeah, first touch. That's Terry Mickler right there. First touch, right?
And so you either prepare or prepare to fail, bro. If you do that scanning, and then we both know soccer IQ. You know that you know the game and the in-game intelligence right there in the field. You're like a coach, a teenage coach.
Yeah, soccer IQ will be more of a secondary aspect that we're going to teach here at TPH. Mostly it's going to be technical training. The soccer IQ piece, they do have a 1 hour when they first get to school. It's going to be soccer IQ time, and that'll be more classroom. I'll be going over game models. I'm not going to teach a game model. The game model that I believe in, I'm going to teach them all, so players have a great knowledge of how to play different shapes and different formations and game models, and they should know them all by the time they get done with their TPH career. So that way they can be a smart player no matter what type of coach they're going to get, because we all know as they go through their career they're going to get several different types of coaches that believe in different game models and styles. So we'll teach that in the morning, more classroom, PowerPoint, video type stuff, and then so that'll be not the prime focus though. The prime focus will be the technical work that we'll be doing in the session. So we're going to do focus on ball mastery. We want them to get become technical superiority is what we're looking for here over the course of time, getting their ball mastery, perfect technique on all the different aspects of the game, passing, finishing, dribbling, all that, everything. And then we're going to get into a little bit of position-specific training where, not every session, but, every couple weeks or so, we'll take the forwards only and we'll work on, slasher runs and, bent balls in and off the ball movements that more are for forwards. Playing with defender behind more and stuff like that. It could be a position-specific midfield training, where we take the midfielders and they're working on, showing behind the lines and finding that free player behind the line, that type of habits. And then, defensive training. So, working on, positioning and more defense for defenders and, finding that free player behind the line, coming out of the back. So position-specific training. We'll divide the groups into their positions and get that going. So that'll be a big piece of it. 1v1s, these will be small groups of 12 to 15 or so. So we'll do 1v1 training. I believe in, there's 4 types of 1v1 training depending on where the defender is. Defender in the front, defender in the angle, defender on the side, and defender behind. Those are the 4 scenarios we'll be pushing there on the 1v1. So rotate that through. We'll be doing small-sided games, a lot of 3v3, 4v4, Terry Mickler, Dutch touch type stuff. A lot of that will be, we'll be teaching, playing habits and off-the-ball movements and getting the transition times, lightning, and, playing habits and stuff like that. We'll teach in the small-sided games. Might do some 6v6, 7v7 stuff. Is probably the highest, numbers that we'll have with these small groups of 12 and 15. So, you get a little bit of decision making there at the 6v6, 7v7. So, of course, that'll be incorporated in. And then free play. I'm a big free play guy. I think free play needs to be part of every curriculum. So, we already started calling Friday Free Play Friday. So, we got to have that creativity. We don't want to create robots. Let the game be the teacher there on the free play. And then the other thing is these soccer-related games that aren't really soccer. It's endless out there on what you could do. to work on that first touch, like you mentioned earlier. Games like soccer, tennis, foot golf is big these days. Where you're playing golf with the ball.
Yeah.
With that, there's this thing called tech ball. It looks like a ping pong table.
Yeah, man.
It's rounded, and we'll be getting the tech ball going. So the type of games will be thrown in all throughout the school day. So these kids are going to love it. I'm listening to myself talking. I can't believe that these kids are going to be blessed with this opportunity. I'd love to have it if I was little.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's the soccer end of it. Just threw a little bit there on what the soccer will be, and these kids are gonna be magicians over the course of time, and we're excited to see what type of players we're gonna produce. A lot of people, you watch a U.S. game, U.S. national team game, you watch a Spanish game, and you're like, oh my God, the difference is technical. They're so much better. A lot of it is the DNA out of the European player. They're born with it. They're long generations of soccer people, and they're handing the baby a ball to kick. We're over here in the U.S. They're handing them the baseball and the football and the hockey stick and everything else, and so you don't really get that specialized soccer in the DNAs over here. So hopefully this will close the gap there, at least with our little group of 30, and who knows, we could get it up to 100 over the course of time, and maybe we can make an impact and develop that Messi coming out of the United States. That's our goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Ken,
that'd be a big one there. If we get somebody world class top player would be the ultimate goal, but it's going to be a matter of time before U.S. produces it, and maybe a school like TPH will be something that helps it.
Well, you just went into the Wales Certified Hall of Fame, Ken, and I congratulate myself. I understood what you were talking about. You brought the shovel, baby. You were getting deep.
Yeah, I've been. My role at Scott-Gallagher is curriculum based. I've been the guy to collect the curriculum over the years. I will never say I wrote the curriculum.
Yeah.
But I implement the curriculum.
Yeah.
And I collect it from the guys that come and go.
Yeah.
I've been around Gallagher since '99 as a coach, so I've been there for a long time.
Yeah,
the merger happened between the three clubs, Gallagher, Bush, and Metro, in 2008. So that's when I went full time in 2008. But I've been in the trenches with the younger ages, working on the technical work. My main focus at Gallagher over the years has been, the younger ages, and so I've been studying the technical side of the game for years here now, 20, 30 years, and been to Europe, been to Honduras, been all over studying what they do, grabbing the good stuff and putting it into our curriculum. And, of course, Tommy Howe's original curriculum is still a huge core of our curriculum, which is heavy passing and possession based. So we have that, as our base there as a curriculum at Gallagher. And then when Tim Lees came over from Liverpool, he brought in a lot of the defender scenarios. Defender on the side and behind was his main focus there. And so we put a lot of the stuff from Tim Lees into the curriculum. And it's funny, great story is Tim Lees was at Liverpool back in the maybe 2010s, 2015s, around that era, and he was the U14 Academy coach, and Pep Lenders was the Academy director at the time. So a lot of the stuff that he brought to us, he had got from Pep Lenders. And if you don't know Pep Lenders and you're looking for a good Google, he's the man right now. He went from Liverpool Academy back in that Tim Lees era. He moved his way up and became Jurgen Klopp's right-hand man for that era. And then when Jurgen left, he bounced a little bit around, and then now he's landed at Man City. So if you look on the bench next to Pep Guardiola, you see Pep Lenders, and I just scratch my head all the time that, oh my gosh, we're doing things with Scott-Gallagher that came from Tim Lee's, that came from Pep Lenders, and now he's sitting next to Pep Guardiola. So he's a Dutch guy. Pep Lenders is. I talk to Terry about him all the time. Terry's a huge fan, but Pep Lenders is the technical guru globally right now. A lot of the things you hear me say is from that world, and it creates a player that's special with the ball, and that creative side and flair really comes out when you train them over the course of time with stuff that came from that world.
Yeah, it makes you want to get out of the bed in the morning, man. That type of stuff. Yeah. So, only last two. Could you have time for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Of course.
It's in the news that the St. Louis public schools are looking for accreditation. How did you all get accredited?
Well, TPH did the legwork there. The Total Package Hockey organization that runs the academic side of this. They use a platform called Edmentum. And so through Edmentum is where the credibility comes from. They do affiliate with the local schools. When you sign up for TPH, you can go two routes. You can go through your local school, or you can go private. And there's pros and cons of both. I'm not the academic expert here. Phil McCrae is, and he runs TPH, and he has a whole academic staff that handles all that. But Edmentum is the platform. That's the main stuff I know. So you're asking the soccer guy academic questions, and I'll give you just a little bit there. And I'd say that anybody who's listening that's interested, we do these open houses, and they're awesome to hear the academic side. And Phil will get up there with Rachel, who runs the academics as well with Phil, and they'll tell you everything about the academic world that they have going on with the TPH, and it's very impressive. I went in not knowing anything about the online academic world, and I don't know too much yet. I'm sure I'll get dove in here in August, but that's where it's through Edmentum. It was EDMENTUM, Edmentum. CBC taught me how to spell that one at least, huh?
Hey, way to go, man. The other thing
CBC taught me is they taught me how to spell CBC forward and backwards.
Oh, you're stealing a line. Yeah. Well done, baby. Well done. Great delivery. Okay, we're at the last one, Ken, is that do you have any concerns that somebody say, hey, in case of fire, you do this, but what, any concerns going forward?
The one that pops up, it's really not a concern of mine, but it does come up from people that are interested. Or is it too much? Is the player going to get sick of soccer? Are they going to burn out? The answer there is we're looking for the passionate player. We're looking for the kid who eats, sleeps soccer. And I've seen those players come through Gallagher, and you can't burn them out because they just love it so much, and they can't get enough. The other thing is you look at these other countries, and I've been to Honduras several times on soccer mission trips with Jack. I don't know if you know Jack Eisenbeiss, the ear, nose, and throat doctor in town, but he goes down to Honduras every year with a medical brigade to do ear, nose, and throat surgeries. And he had some kids come through Gallagher a few years ago and asked me to tag along with them because there's a soccer field at the hospital where he was going. And he's like, hey, you could bring some gear and put on some clinics for the kids that are waiting for their parents to have surgeries. I thought it was a great opportunity. I went down there, and I was blown away by how great the people of Honduras are. Just unbelievable, sweet people, and so I did that 3 times. I went down there 3 times. I really studied that whole culture, and they're playing soccer all day. They're just playing in the street, and so they're not burning out. They got the growing passion in them. You look at the European. There is European model schools similar to this. So it is a proven entity where kids are playing more than just their team, and the burnout doesn't seem to be an issue there. If you have the right kid that has that soccer heart, he's just going to eat this up and love it. We are going to look at, from a periodization standpoint, on doing too much load-wise athletically. We are going to watch that close. We're going to sit down with all the players with their calendars. If a player has a heavy weekend coming up, if they have high school, Final Four and final or something like that with the new Champions League or whatever, they have a heavy weekend, or maybe they have an MLS next showcase that weekend. Of course, we're going to go lighter that week and not make sure that they're fresh going in. So we will balance that. There's so many things, like some of the things I talked about earlier, studying the game in a classroom and doing the tech ball and stuff. That's not physically demanding. So you can work on your touch and your mind, even if you do have a big tournament coming up that weekend. But we will get ahead of that with the kids' calendars. And that's one of the rules that the mentor role has, is to make sure that the players are communicating what they have coming up. It's going to be sometimes when the teams aren't going in the early part of the season here, or coming out of the winter break or whatever, we're going to be going hard because they're not training at night. But we definitely aren't going to do two-a-days for the kids, every day. That would lead probably to too much. So we're smart about it. We've done our homework. We have the right people to advise on that side, and we'll make that balance. I also think creativity and fun eliminates the idea of burnout.
Nice.
As long as, if I'm there, teaching robot soccer and and it's not fun, then of course they're gonna get sick of soccer. But I like to get excited. I like to show my passion, and that rubs off on the kids, I've found over the years. And I rarely get a phone call from a parent saying that their kid is burned out. Anyways, that was the only watch out I really kind of had. Was it too? I hear about it. Parents ask, "Is it too much?" And I just gave you my answer, and it's definitely no, it won't be. So that's the only concern I really have. I see socially on the, you see it at the hockey. I do hear sometimes, how's this going to be socially? They're giving up this and that. You don't have to give it up. You don't have to give up prom, and you don't have to give up things. You can do those things still through your local school. So you're not giving up that social aspect of it. And then, as the school gets big, we're at 30 now, so I'm comfortable there. I'd say if we only had a starting point of 10, 12 kids, socially that would be, probably a concern. But now you're getting up to 30, and the hockey's at 80. That's a decent sized school. And the other thing is the grades. We're starting at 4th grade is the starting point. I don't know if I mentioned that. So we'll have 4th grade all the way through. Right now, we're heavy on the younger, and not as many in the older. We do have a nice group of older, so we'll have a good training group there. So the social concern, not as much. The other thing is these guys. This group is going to be soccer people. So you're a soccer kid. You're going to school with a bunch of soccer kids. I think that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. And so that you know, and I know that you know, I've never met you before, by passing or whatever, but in my world, you're a heavy hitter, and so I went to our mentor Terry Minkler and I said I got to have some questions to ask the guy. Yeah, man. And
Terry and I are tight. Obviously, I played for him in the '80s there, '82 to '86, and so I've been tight with him ever since. He's a soccer genius. I've been blessed with him. Of course, I mentioned Vincent Drake earlier, but I also came through Indiana University, so I had Jerry Yeagley, the godfather of college soccer. I had him as well as a coach. So,
wow.
And then Tommy Howe. So those are my four mentors there, and
man,
taught me some stuff. So I was always paying attention to what these guys were doing. A lot of players sometimes just went through the motions on what exactly the coaches were doing. I was studying. I think I wanted to be a coach all along, and
wow.
I had a journal. I remember I had Ed Honeke too in my ODP. I played ODP for Ed Honeke, and he's another awesome coach. But I remember Ed said, "Hey kid, get a journal and write stuff down," and I did. And I have old journals through all the years of all the sessions and stuff. And Tommy Howe was always really good about coaches' education, so he always made little pamphlets for all the coaches when he did coaches' education stuff. And so between Tommy Howe and Terry Minkler, Vince Drake, and Jerry Yeagley, here I am. So I'm very blessed to have those guys.
Yeah, you were, bro. And hats off to you for giving back. And you've suffered some illnesses all yourself, and you've overcome it. Am I correct? Or you're better than you were ill a couple years ago.
I did have a thoracic outlet syndrome. You might be talking about that, where the vein coming out of your arm to bring the blood back into your body got clogged between my vein and my collarbone. It had pinched off crazy. I was playing soccer up at Flow Valley with a lot of those old timers you were mentioning.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my arm was like Popeye.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah, so that was. I did have to overcome that, and but I'm good. I'm all good now. It's been a while, so.
Well,
all good.
Yeah, they had you, laid out, and they were gonna try to get somebody to take your place.
Yeah, I was in the hospital for quite a while.
Yeah.
So. That's behind me. All good. I'm 100% now, and
right.
It's been a while. So,
Ken, hats off to you.
What you're referring to.
Hats off to you, man. And you, like you said, you're in the Hall of Fame, and I can't wait. And I hope it's not the last time we would chat. I hope I pass the audition where I'll be. You're all good.
Yeah, leading into this, I did my homework. I listened to a few of the older pods that are on Spotify there, and so I appreciate what you're doing. You're preaching the global game message here in the Lou, and you're doing a great job. So I'll add you to my podcast list right next to the Dad Pod. You ever listen to the Dad Pod? Those guys do a great job. JB Anderson and Zach Lewis and Jared Bertrand, they do a good one. Theirs is good too, but I'm going to add yours to it, and I love listening to the soccer pods in the car. It's a great time to listen, so I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, Lou always talks off the mic, off camera. He doesn't talk when you got the mic on. He doesn't say nothing.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Okay, once again, thank you, and I mean to tell you, I'll be watching and applauding everything over there, and you always have a room to podcast to promote or whatever you need to do.
Kevin. I appreciate it. TPH St. Louis Soccer Academy starting in the fall. Here we go. So appreciate the plug. Thanks for the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, then. The best of the best. Bye, kid.
Bye.